Hello, welcome to another edition of All or Not According to Jack with your host, Jack Toledano. As you can see, I am in Jerry's apartment. We are going to talk about another episode of Seinfeld. Uh, this idea coming courtesy of only Seinfeld uh, page on Facebook. The topic being, which Seinfeld moment made you laugh the hardest? So we're going to talk about a comedy, some that were mentioned on only Seinfeld, but these are generally my top 10 and some really good ones, some that you might not expect. I'd like to hear yours towards the end, but before we get into that, so my last episode was kind of serious about me losing my job, and not like Kramer losing his job at the bagel shop or whatever, or losing his job where he wasn't even being paid. But what do they say? Comedy heals everything. Comedy is a great elixir of, making people feel better. So, yes, I did go to St. Thomas, by the way, a few years back on a family cruise, and I loved it. Wonderful place. Can all think about happier times and, get through the things that ail us in life. So, without further ado, let's talk about my top 10 moments of Seinfeld that made you laugh the hardest. Okay, so I tried to get all four of the main characters in there. It was a little bit of a stretch for Elaine because I don't think she's as funny as the other guys are, but more plays more of a straight role, but she can be funny. Uh, I mean, honorable mention the time where she was dating the mover, and Jerry said to her, "What's your stand on abortion?" And she's doing a lipstick and smudges it on her face. And then when she asked him about it, he said, "Someday we will have that law abolished," and she starts crying. That was funny, but that's an honorable mention. My number 10 was when she's sitting in the bathroom stall and she runs out of toilet paper and says to the lady in the stall next to her, uh, "I'm sorry, I don't have any toilet paper. Can you spare a square?" "No, I can't spare it." So, with her hand reaching under the stall, you could see her hand underneath the door of the stall saying, "You can't spare 3 squares?" Yeah, that was pretty freaking funny. "You can't spare 3 squares?" So, number 9, still on the subject of Elaine, was our on again, off again boyfriend, David Putty, who some very, very funny lines on the show. Well, like I love when he said to Jerry, said, "Oh, Jerry said to him, 'Oh, you used to be a grease monkey.'" I don't care for that term. Very deadpan. I loved his deadpan expressions. But there was the time they got into the fight on the plane and they broke up a couple times. He's just staring ahead, and Elaine's like, "Oh, that's it. We're broken up." But my number 9 was David Putty, the face painter, dressed as the Devils. He's a fan of the New Jersey Devils, and she's like, "What are you doing that for?" "Got to support the team." That that's my number 9. Got to support the team. So freaking funny. He does it just so deadpan. Okay, number 8. And again, I think Kramer and George are the two funniest people on the show. And again, Jerry also plays more of a straight role to those two guys, to their antics. But Jerry has a great line where so he's being heckled on stage by Kramer's girlfriend Toby, that annoying woman who was equally annoying in the movie Erin Brockovich, and here she is, an attorney, being outsmarted by Erin Brockovich, a pinup queen basically, but she's going boo boo, hey, and then what did she say? How are you going to make it in the business of, and that's part of the show. So what does Jerry do? He gets all pissed off. He goes to her office and he starts heckling her. He's like, "Oh, let's check on her. Let's check on. Oh, I see you wearing open-toed sandals. Let's go check on Toby's bunions. I get the aroma of feet." That was very funny, and she has a serious moment, runs out of the street, and gets her toe severed by a street sweeper. Oh, that's good comedy writing. So yeah, that's my number 8. Jerry heckles Toby back. That was very funny. Number 7, the Bubble Boy. Just that whole episode was so funny, right from Jerry wiping his mouth when Elaine hands him a napkin to wipe his tears away when the Bubble Boy's father's telling his story, and Jerry calmly wipes his mouth. But then the Bubble Boy himself was funny. Instead of this diminutive little boy, it's this obnoxious fucking jerk. Hey, Ma, if you give me the crunchy peanut, I'll shove it in your face. And then he says to Susan, what's your deal? How about taking your top off? But then he says to George, how you doing over there? Not too good. And then they get into the whole thing about moops. There's no moops. It's Morse. So it isn't. So it's basically the whole conglomerate of the scene, the basically a couple scenes put together. That's my number 7. The Bubble Boy at his house between how you doing over there? Not too good. And there's no moops. Very funny. Number 6, this also involves George. There's the episode where Susan has a doll that is a dead ringer for his mother. I don't know how the hell they pull that off, but funny as hell. And George is imagining her saying things like, "Hey, why are you eating like that? Slow down, tuck your shirt in." Things of that nature. I once thought of this invention where it would basically be like this little handheld thing where Estelle yells at the person for like my wife Susan used to yell at me years ago. Oh, stop and ask for directions. Oh, what are you, a man? You can't stop for directions? Could you imagine uh, Estelle saying that? Stop for directions. What'd you turn there for? What are you, a moron? So funny. But what really made me burst laughing was Frank grabs the doll and rips its head off and holds it in front of his face. What do you think of that? That was a good scene. Yeah. To George's mother doll, number 6. So number 5, again, more Frank Costanza. Funny, funny freaking guy. I'm so glad they brought him onto the show at the end of season 4. Let's go Mets, by the way. They did win tonight in the last series of the season at home, facing the Nats, 12-6, I believe the score was. Okay, so anyway, so his number 5. So Frank and Estelle had a special visit paid to them by none other than George Steinbrenner. Uh, so George sits down, he's consoling them, tells them that George was a real dynamo. And first, Estelle says, are you sure you're talking about George? Oh, too funny. But the really funny part, so Frank changes the subject from the alleged death of his son to, what the hell did you trade Jay Buhner for? Jay Buhner, for those who don't know, he used to he used to play for the New York Yankees, and they traded to him to the Seattle Mariners for one Ken Phelps, and turned out to be a bad trade. But I did hate his batting stance. He batted like this. He held his bat way the hell up, and before the swing, he'd sit there and he wouldn't grip the bat. He'd do that. Oh man, if I were a pitcher, I'd want to plunk him right in the head just for that. But Frank killed it that day. Very funny. What the hell did you trade Jay Buhner for? With his son dying. That's my number five. So number four. So I guess you all remember when Kramer headed out to the to the left coast, La La Land, L.A. Uh, to try and because he got bitten by the bug, he wanted to become an actor. So unfortunately, he got caught up being, and he was falsely accused of committing a murder. He was a suspect. Uh, the girl had his acting treatment in her hands when she died, but uh, so so he's being detected. No, he's being um, interrogated by one of the LA detectives. And I mean, his line of questioning was so funny. It's like, you had to choke out the pretty flowers, you vile, stinking weed. And what else did he say to him? He's like, maybe the pervert in the park had a present in his pants. So he's got Kramer crying, and so finally his partner gets a phone call, and it's like, oh, they found another body. So then so it's like, let him go. So so Kramer gets up to leave, and he turns to the detective and said, "How'd you know about the pervert?" Freaking funny. Uh, Get out. So that was a great scene. Kramer crying, blubbering and crying. Uh, okay, number three. Back to Estelle Costanza. Very, very funny lady. The first scene she was ever in, it was in the episode called "The Contest," where she's lying on a hospital bed. Looked like she may have been in traction or something. I go out for a quart of milk, and this is what you do. You treat your body like it was an amusement park. Oh, the good old masturbation episode. George, I'm hungry. Classic Estelle. She was great. Uh, Sorry to say, number two and number one also involved George. He was just freaking funny. Number two, and season nine, was it season eight or season nine? One of them. He was uh, he was bragging to Jerry about how much he loved the game Frogger, and he he had this Frogger game, and he bought the Frogger game, but he didn't want to. He he didn't. If you unplugged the game, he would lose his score, his all-time high score. So what does he do? He runs an extension cord across the street, and then I forget what happened. Either the pizza place was closing, and he had to move the Frogger game across the street, and he had to do it in under a minute, and and so there's an overhead camera showing him traversing the street as if he's weaving out of parked cars and weaving out of cars going down the street as if he's actually playing the Frogger game, where I don't know if you remember Frogger, where you had to have the frog leap on the different logs to get across the river and not get swallowed by the alligator. So poor George, his Frogger game got run over by a moving van, and then you heard, it was hilarious. Oh Gotta love it. Quite the comedy writing team. So, but the one that had me bursting out laughing, uh, so funny I had to, and this was back years ago when the reruns first started. When I first started watching Seinfeld, I was watching them in real time. I think I started to religiously watch the show in season five. So I had never seen the episodes prior to season five, although I did see a couple of years back uh, with my buddy Wild Bill. Who else? Uh, we were watching the episode where the healer, or the where where George is, he thinks he's dying of, lupus, and he turns into an eggplant. And he goes to see Tor Ackman, the healer. Funny, funny episode. But this one, uh, this is in season three or season four. I'm not sure. It might have been season three. This is where he's dating the concert pianist, and he's upset about the fact that he's lamenting to Kramer and Jerry about how he's got no hand in the relationship. I have no hand. So Kramer gives him the idea of doing a preemptive breakup. So he breaks up with whatever her name is, and then and they work it out, and she's being more attentive to his needs after the preemptive breakup. So then she catches him in a lie at the end. She's like, I am breaking up with you. And George is like, you. Oh, I remember what it was. She hears Elaine laughing. So she's like, that's the laugh. And George, you lied to me. I am breaking up with you. So then what happens? Yeah. So then George is like, what? You can't break up. I have hand. And you're gonna need it. That line got me rolling on the floor. And you're gonna need it. You know what for? To put Estelle back in traction again. This is Jack Toledano speaking for all or not according to Jack. Tell me, what were your favorite Seinfeld? What was the Seinfeld moment that made you laugh the hardest? Tell me. I'd love to know. This is Jack Toledano speaking for all or not according to Jack. We'll talk soon. Have a good one.